All right, thank you very much for joining me. Today, what we're going to be doing is talking about who moved my installation shop money. And I'm going to take you back in this training of saying, kind of talking about a book that was written a long time ago, and it's called Who Moved My Cheese. And I often talk about this. I'm going to dive right in here. First off, why should you listen to me? Let's do a little refresh. My name is Jason Starbuck, and I started a software called AutoMojo, where we work with auto aftermarket shops, upgrade shops, to help them install systems to generate more revenue. So let's jump back into the training. You can go to automojo.io, by the way, for that. So in here, what we want to do is be very conscious that in this, there were things that were happening many years ago. And I want to share with you guys a book that was called Who Moved My Cheese. And I'm using that tagline of Who Moved My Money, or Who Moved My Installation Shop Money. So in this, let's imagine that shops for many years are getting all kinds of marketing when it comes down to magazines. It may be when it comes to radio ads, right? Radio ads. And so who moved my cheese, or who moved my money, is about, there was a way of doing business, and you did business in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and the cheese was right here. And let's call this the money, okay? Hopefully by the end of this training, you're gonna get a ton of good information, and you'll see it maybe in a different way. That's my goal. So in this, you go to work, you have a process that you do. This is the cheese, bing, we just did $40,000 a month, or 110, or 25. Whatever the amount is, you knew that if you went to work every single day, the cheese right here was the same. Well, one day, someone started forging a new maze, but only because the cheese moved over here, the money. And so people started to create tunnels and all those different things to try to find the new way to get here. And many people over here will take that route, but turn back to what they know. Take that route and take them back to the know. So what are some things that we know that were happening in this environment here? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use, I don't know, I've never done it like this, but let's go ahead and use these right here. And I'm gonna say magazines, reputation, word of mouth, all of that gave people to come to your shop. Hopefully you agree with that, because you guys would understand that that was the way the cheese was made. And then to go even further was that the ability to sell with the emotions, to give them options to either pay for it then, put it on, you wanna go further back, layaway, or if you give them financing. So this was being done, and the way that you could get attention was put your name in magazines, grow your reputation, be in things that were what? Fun, right? Everything at that time had a brand like Harley Davidson. It was just, why are we white there? That's probably not gonna work. Yeah. Let's just not go on there. So you know where I was getting at. So if you have word of mouth magazines, this is working. The cheese is working here. What happened? We have two different people that came into play. One of them came into play. If you're staying with me, stick with me. I'll try to keep it fun so you don't just die here. But if you look at this, what ended up happening is that Google came into play around 2002 or something like that. And then you've got Facebook that started popping off in 2010. So you're over here saying, I don't know what the heck's going on. Where is my cheese? And what happened is the internet became relevant. And because this became relevant, now let's go into, now that we've built a frame here, what is happening in these two environments? Now, I'm not going to go any further. I'm going to jump into some real good value so that you could truly understand what is going on so you can make better decisions. and maybe you'll come work with AutoMojo. That's my little plug. So what happens in these environments? Well, it used to be we would take them and would bring them directly to magazines, build our reputation. But what's happening is instantly in this framework right here, these people are typing in words like where to get installation. That makes no sense. Let's try it again. The next one would be, for example, car audio near me. Makes no sense, but I can use these as my frames. It's really hard to type on this, okay? Or someone could go window tint. And if we did these, butchered. Okay, so these right here are all questions to come into Google that gives them a set of results, right? And in these results, you're going to get results of places that can serve you. And we all know that this works, right? But the thing that you need to understand is that Google is solving a problem. Stay with me here. This is super important to understand, even though I can't spell. All right. These people have problems. These people want to be able to exchange money for replacing bad equipment, broken suspension, peeling window tint, your competition shop's quality, whatever it is, they're coming to you to solve a problem. There's not a lot of energy, right? There's not a lot of this pizzazz. There's not a lot of that going on here. But why is this important, and why is this so important? Well, once I go over Facebook, I'll tell you. But here's the hint. Money. Could be a turtle. All right. So Facebook, what is happening here? I'm going to make this really simple. You've got different things that are happening over and over and over and over again. And these things have come in play from things that you've liked, things that you have searched, things that you have commented on, and things they've heard listening to your phone. Okay. So all of this is a feed. This is going down all the time. It's probably how you found me. And as that goes through, you're going to see something like people going to church, people going to vacation, people talking to their family, people in holiday, right? And then all of a sudden, come check out my shop. We are the coolest in town, right? And some of us are still using a formula. I understand why you do it. I respect the game. Don't ever think I don't. But at the end of the day, we're over here trying to create a lot of environments that are going, look over here. And a lot of this is the 80s and the 90s trying to get their attention. Again, I understand it. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody that does it. I understand the formula. However, when you've got people doing this, you are stopping them. However, understand where the buying process is. That they've gone through all of this. They've just gotten touched by something. They didn't create what? Intent. So yes, I'll build a bridge for all of them. They didn't build intent because intent is solving the problem. And when there's intent, there's greater predictable revenue because these problems are always coming around. And this is what you can use to stabilize the shop. Now, what happens here is you create this excitement, right? I don't know. A hot chick on the beach. I don't know. Can we even say that anymore? I don't know. But showing you with a hot chick at the beach, or you're a chick with a hot dude. I don't know, whatever your style is. But in this scenario, this is basically what you're trying to portray. At the end of the day, it's all emotions. And you're trying to create an emotion, an experience that they could have. So you're stopping them selling, we got this product here, we got this product. But they're watching experience. So what ends up happening is you should put something in here and they fill out a form. Great. You create a lead, right? Now, when they create a lead, this creates conversation. I can't even say that. This creates conversation. When this conversation right here is a lot of talking. So let's understand that the volume of people that you will need to talk to pull money out of their pocket to make a decision through this mental state is much different than this mental state. So when you're doing this, who moved my cheese? When we used to create magazines, that does this. Magazines does this all day long. Big jobs, exciting stuff. They come and spend a lot of money. This is all real. Very, very awesome stuff. That's why a lot of us are in the business. However, with the internet, when they move the cheese over here, it allows you to be more predictable in people's problems. Hopefully this training helped you out. My name is Jason Starbuck. If you would like to see more of this stuff or to implement it in your shop, like, subscribe, and go to automojo.io, like that, .io, nowhere else, automojo.io, and fill the form out, see how it can go for you. Thank you very much, guys.